The Presidency is set to announce plans to resuscitate the dysfunction of South Africa's railway network, particularly under Transnet. Some believe that the plans will weaken Transnet's monopoly and promote competition by increasing the private sector's participation in the running of South Africa's rail networks, including the ports. Well, the dysfunction is estimated to have cost the economy at least 500 billion rand since 2010. Joining me now in studio is African Rail Industry Association CEO Mesela Kope-Nhlapo. Good morning to you, ma'am, and thank you very much for your time. So let's begin the conversation with what appears to be a debate inside the governing party. And the reason we have to make reference to them is because they create policy for their government colleagues who then have to implement that policy. And so the debate there right now is that, well, if you look at the comments of the former president, Thabo Mbeki, who says he's worried about South Africa's SOEs gradually moving into the hands of private sector participants, because for him the problem is that services are going to start becoming pricier, particularly for those of us who cannot afford. Do you at least take to heart what he...
I take to heart, and looking at what is now termed the monopoly when looking at the roadmap. It's not true that it is now that the monopoly is threatened. It is in the best interest of the country that we have competition on the railways, and therefore it will drive prices down because there will be competitors. Looking at what also the president has in the roadmap, it's nothing new. The roadmap, there's the foundation of the policy, mentioned through the policy. Here is our Bible. So the roadmap simply refers to this. So this was approved by cabinet, and the roadmap is there. How do we implement?
So let's flesh out exactly the Bible you have in front of you. Some South Africans may not be au fait with the content. What stands out for you as a way to turn things around in this sector that is gradually collapsing? At least that's the description.
Well, I want to speak to my brothers and sisters in the township that there is hope, and that hope relies on institutions like this. And the policy talks about job creation, the policy talks about security of our railways, the policy talks about the enabling regulators with the economic regulator, the safety regulator, and that in itself brings new careers on the market, that all those fees must fall, graduates are being employed, and some are not going to be employed, some will be entrepreneurs. So we need to make the industry prepared to bring in new skills. There are skills out there. We don't have a lack of skills in the railway. We just need to grow the sector.
Let's talk about leadership instability at these SOEs. There is a high vacancy rate at the moment, and perhaps you want to weigh in on whether or not that does have a material impact as to whether or not we are going to see the changes that the presidency talks about.
Look, at the end of the day, the document or the roadmap will be housed under the Department of Transport, and there we don't have a problem because we work with them directly. They are one of the departments that have the little resources that they have, that have worked very hard to bring about this policy and the roadmap. We don't have any doubt because we do work with them. The instability, for me, it appears almost as if it's intentional to not to have permanent employees, not only at Transnet, various places within government. The people that are acting are scared to make decisions. And when they're scared to make decisions, nothing moves.
When you say it seems a purposeful act to have people in these positions who are not permanent but actors, why do you believe that that is some kind of predetermined decision? It is to achieve what exactly?
Let me give you a scenario. You have a Matthew in a position, say, at Transnet. And Matthew is quite vocal about or disagrees with the executives. You'll be sidelined, and in most cases, you get suspended. You get suspended, and know for a fact that there's a gentleman that has a rich background in the railways that is staying at home for 2 years, has been suspended. Now, we continue to pay the gentleman's salary. And whoever is going to come and act in that position, do you think that they will challenge the executive? They will not.
Yeah. Because
they will suffer the same fate. And at the end of the day, they have food to provide for their families.
There's no doubt in this country that we do come up with solid plans. For example, the Bible you have in front of you. What has often been said is that implementation is where we are most lacking. I'd like for you to talk to the turnaround plans that get announced every now and then, and perhaps let's hone in on Transnet. Those turnaround plans and whether they are good enough, but more importantly, implementation. Do we have a kind of solid leadership that will see through the implementation?
I think one of the universities must start implementing a course on implementation, because I think we greatly suffer from that. Sometimes it's not a matter of implementation. So looking at the policy, we work with DOT. Now we want to implement third-party access. It's in the policy. And the state-owned entity will then go on a tangent and do their own thing.
Yeah.
So the president has pronounced, the department is carrying through with the work, the policy. We see Minister Fikile Mbalula going around the country launching the policy. And then there is sort of like a sub-government of some sort where the executive in the state-owned entities, they go and do their own thing. And that is problematic. We look at the tender that was awarded to one of the companies. We said that this is not business friendly. It won't work. They wanted to have food stores, use it as is, and grandfather rights. It can be. It can be that you have grandfather rights, whereas there is a policy that is saying something. So an alignment within government is key. Alignment, DOT, the DTIC, the state-owned entities, they cannot continue working like this. There has to be an alignment, and there has to be somebody that takes charge. Talking about leadership, if we were to have a new group CEO or CEO at Transnet, it must be somebody that knows the railways through and through. We've been to the market where the railways are treated as logistics. They're not. They are complex in their nature. And if you don't have a good background on the railways, somebody's putting you up for failure. So in my sense, the executives at Transnet, they were somehow victims as well of this, not appointing the right people that have the right skills for the job that they will be taking on. So they are indirectly victims as well.
Mesela Kope-Nhlapo, let me thank you very much for your time. CEO of the African Rail Industry Association. And that leads us closer to the hour of 10 o'clock.